aggro crab tweet like into work flowy.
You can. And hi, everybody. We're live. Welcome to the May 19th, 2023 edition of the weekly Nintendo News Roundup Live. Good to see everybody here live on youtube.com/allinpodcast. Recording this show live every single Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. So come hang out with us sometime, why don't you? Just like Bowza and Anna Hudak in the chat are. Hey, everybody. Good to see you all. Love you all.
Good evening. Happy Friday. Hope everybody's having a lovely, lovely May 19th weekend.
That's right. Daniel Linahosa in the chat. What's going on, buddy? Good to see everybody, man. It is a auspicious event tonight, Eric, for many reasons. Not only are we going to talk about a lot of Nintendo news, like something that I know you're pretty excited about. Mayhaps we'll chat a little Mortal Kombat 1 later. There's a new season of Splatoon to talk about. There's a lot of news. But we should get to a couple of things first. A bit of housekeeping here, right at the top. So if you are watching us live on YouTube right now, if you're watching the VOD later on YouTube, or if you're hearing this on the podcast feed, we are changing things up a little bit. We're shaking up the format of the podcast. The weekly Nintendo News Roundup Live is essentially going to be its own show now. It kind of has been for a while, but we've sort of been like, we started live streaming it sometime last year, and essentially we just treated it as the first segments of the main show. And now what we're going to do is we're actually going to take this and make it its own thing and make the main show its own thing too, which is still going to have your top fives, your indie showcases, your interviews, your retrospectives, and all of that. This week on the main show, we got a great show going out that's WarioWare themed. We got the top 5 games within games, got an indie showcase on the Mom Hid My Game series, and a retrospective on the original WarioWare going up on your podcast feeds tomorrow. But we decided to split the show up like this and kind of package it differently, really as a way to make the show more digestible to newcomers to it. Because as y'all know, if you've listened to our stuff for a while, the show's long. We routinely go 3.5 hours. We have in-depth conversations. We go all in, you might even say.
Yeah, so that's always been the thing behind the show. We've always wanted it to be like that, and we always wanted to create a ton of content for each and every one of you guys who, follows us, and we think we have been doing that. However, we know that we do go long. It's been kind of a running joke within our community now, but we do hear you guys. And even though, we put in the timestamps, the whole thing, seeing that 3, maybe even 3.5 hour runtime for these episodes can be a bit of a hard gate to pass for some people. So just like Seth said, we're just trying to make it more digestible. But because of that, you're actually going to wind up getting even more content. So in addition to doing this live every Friday night on youtube.com/allinpodcast, it is also going to be its own kind of sister podcast to the main show, which you'll also be able to find in the All In podcast feed henceforth.
Yeah. So
in addition to the main episode each Saturday.
Yeah. So it's nothing is going to change necessarily in terms of the amount of content you're getting, just the way it's packaged. So if you want to hang out with us here live on YouTube and watch the news live, if you want to watch the weekly Nintendo News Roundup live, you're more than welcome to. If you want to listen to it on your podcast feed, you're more than welcome to. But then the main show will kind of be its own thing separately from just news. So we're basically just, packaging all this stuff differently. Anna Hudak in the chat says, honestly, good move. I rarely have time to listen to a whole episode and have to pick and choose what segment or two to listen to. So that's exactly why we decided to make the change. We've been talking about it for a little while. What we wound up doing is we pitched it to our patrons at patreon.com/allinpodcast. We said, what do you guys think? This is kind of what we're thinking, but we're open to ideas. And the people over there, the friends and supporters over there are so amazing and gave us some very good advice, really good sounding board, and have forever changed the way that we do our show. So thank you very much to everybody who supports us over there, everybody who provided feedback. Not only are you like monetarily supporting the show, which is incredible, but like you're actively influencing the direction that the show is taking henceforth. So really, really appreciate all of you for that. It means a lot, and it's fun, and it's nice to kind of get to. We've been doing this show for nearly 3 years now, and it's nice to be able to sort of experiment a little bit and play with it, and kind of make these moves. So yeah, that's what's happening going forward. Just so everybody's kind of aware of that. Tonight we're going to be talking about the news, of course, but we're also going to be giving away our Tears of the Kingdom copy here shortly. So anybody who is tuning in, waiting for the giveaway, we'll get to that here in a second. But before we do, I want to thank those aforementioned friends and supporters at patreon.com/allinpodcast. Eric.
Yes, the all-in structural committee, as we're calling them this week.
That's right. We want to thank everybody, but we want to shout out especially our Golden Banana tier supporters like Rob Yapel, Third Strongest Mole, Shano Baggins Ashton, Tim A, aka NeoPrime33, aka Nintendo Dad number 4, Matt Shy Guy City Murray, Phelan Ward, Bill Tucker, Marcus O'Neill, Liam D, Solo Something, Bowza, and Gamer Jason. So thank you very much to our Golden Banana tier. But moving into our Triforce tier, we need to thank Josh Vaughn, the godfather of Tingle Love Tuesday, John Datfast Cummins of the Retrologic podcast, as well as the On Topic Retro podcast, the Globetrotting Jet Setting Nintendo Hub and Sparky of the Nintendo Hub right here on YouTube, Adam Caparello of Retro Groove podcast, as well as the Octorock 1982 YouTube channel, Shy Guy, the other half of our Shy Guy mod squad, Daniel Inahosa, who's watching us live right now, Dan and Luma, and the legend himself.
The legend himself, Uncle Randy.
Uncle Randy. Thanks so much,
Long,
guys.
hard breath. Oh,
yeah, lean into it. Mortal Kombat style.
Mortal Kombat.
Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate y'all. You can, of course, head over to patreon.com/allinpodcast. Join their ranks. See which tier of support works for you. On the podcast, we also shout out 5-star reviews. Really appreciate those. We're kind of like figuring out what we want to do to start out the news roundup live now, because this is kind of a separate thing now. So it kind of needs its own sort of introductory segment. We're playing around with that. Today we've got the giveaway, so we're kind of covered. But in the future, we want to, like, what would you guys kind of like to hear us do? We have a few thoughts.
Seth and I had a long conversation about this week, and ultimately we decided we'd throw it to you. We were talking about maybe doing some type of game, maybe doing something like a community Q&A, maybe even taking cues from our Shy Guy twosome that we have in our amazing mod. Doing something. We'd like to hear if you guys have any clever ideas, because typically this is where Seth would ask what I've been up to. But here in the news roundup, Seth doesn't care about what I've been up to. He only cares about it in the main show now. So we're not doing that here. Exactly. Yeah. We're actual journalists here during the news roundup. So we want to hear if you guys have any cool, kind of icebreakery ideas for what you'd like to see in this. So when I said earlier that we're giving you more content, I wasn't just referring to the fact that we're splitting the show into two separate entities. We are actually going to be adding a little accoutrement, a little flair and fun to the news roundup each week. If you'd like to hear what I've been up to, you will be able to hear that tomorrow when the main podcast goes live.
That's right.
Spoilers, there's a lot of Hyrule involved. But what would you guys like to see from this news thing? What kind of fun, interesting stuff would you guys be into, all in being into? We're open to ideas. We got a couple thoughts. We'll be experimental with it. We'll play with it and we'll see where we land. But either way, we're gonna wind up doing something kind of because you want like a kind of warm up, like icebreaker segment. You don't want to just get straight into the news, right? You want to kind of chit chat, throw the ball back and forth a little bit first. So we have a few ideas, but I'm going to be interested to hear what people say. And honestly, really interested to hear feedback from people in general, like people like Anna in the chat already kind of responding well to the move to doing this. So I appreciate that. I'm really curious to hear what everybody thinks about the new format. So, and that was also, speaking of Seth, reacting to chat. That was actually another reason that we kind of wanted to do this, because doing this in this format and treating this like kind of its own entity allows us to be more more engaged and more interactive with those who are joining us live.
Right, because because it was the first segment of the larger podcast, I couldn't engage with chat all that much. It always felt a little awkward. So this, I think, is much more organic. But yeah, so let us know, guys. We're listening to the feedback. But with all that being said, let's get into our giveaway, shall we?
Yeah. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom is out. It's already sold. Well, never mind. We'll get into that here in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But I wanted to share. Well, we wanted to share the love. We wanted to share the gift of Zelda with, our community and give you guys an opportunity to win a full free copy of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I wish I had enough money to give one to all of you guys. I genuinely do. But we are going to be giving away one copy to one of our amazing followers right now.
Yes. So we had, I believe, 212 or 213 or something like that entries into the giveaway. And we do these Twitter giveaways pretty much the same way every time. Basically, just gotta like, follow, retweet, and tag a friend. And so big thanks to everybody who entered. I'm going to pop us over to the giveaway screen here. I utilize this this service called Twitter Picker, which is a very ad-riddled site. So shoutouts to Rocket Mortgage, Chase, Optimum, getting the ads here, getting the free ad space here. But I've loaded up the tweet. You can see it here. Winner count is 1. Must follow at All In Podcast. Everybody who followed has also retweeted, so that's good. We didn't have any rule breakers. I don't have to individually verify, so that is nice.
You guys can read.
You guys can read. So now all I have to do is hit continue. And it is now loaded up all 200 and some odd entries, 209, that's what it was, entries into the giveaway. Everybody who was eligible for the giveaway is now loaded up. We hit continue. Okay, and then all I do is hit begin draw. And Eric, if you want to give me a drum roll, there's no pomp or circumstance because it'll just pop up the name.
I can't roll my R's, but I can do something like this.
There you go. And at Hugo Maytag, at HUGOMATAG, Hugo J Mata G wins the copy of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So congratulations.
Make sure to send us a DM at All In Podcast on Twitter. Get us your address. We'll get you out your copy. Congratulations. Hope you enjoy your time in Hyrule, Hugo.
Yeah, absolutely. So let us know. Reach out. Thanks to everybody who submitted. We appreciate you all for for entering the giveaway, and we're happy to at least give somebody a chance to head out into Hyrule. Thanks so much.
And a lot of you that just jumped on for the giveaway, we do try to do these as often as possible. So, check back in every once in a while. We produce a ton of content, stick around, check that out. We got our YouTube channel. We got, 2 podcasts a week now, in addition to, a ton of other stuff. So, check out what we've got going on. And again, we do giveaways like this whenever we can. So hang around, become part of the All In community.
Yeah, our community is so friendly and welcoming and loving, and our Discord community is free. You're absolutely welcome. Links to that are in the video description right now. You're more than welcome.
Check out our episode last week. We got a review all about, or no. It's this one, right?
Week. It'll be the one tomorrow.
Yeah. Check out our brand new episode tomorrow. We got a review telling you all about our community.
Yeah, so we're very fortunate to have a bunch of amazing people in our community, and if you like Nintendo content, you are in the right place. So welcome on in. Appreciate everybody who entered into the giveaway. But with that all being said, sir, this is actually kind of a great time for us to have made this split, because it really did kind of feel like this week was sort of the beginning of like the summer gaming news season. There's a lot of news.
You might even be able to say it has begun.
It has begun. So without any further ado, sir, let's get into the news, man.
It has begun. So let's talk about it.
Hey, listen.
Now, Eric, before I just let you off the leash here,
Yeah, are you gonna go get some coffee? Go make a sandwich or
yeah,
something?
I might need to just get another cup of coffee. So yes, of course. Everybody who, if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, if you've watched us for any length of time, you know Eric is a massive fighting game fan, the biggest fighting game fan I know for sure, and specifically also a massive fan of the Mortal Kombat franchise. And we have it's been percolating for a while that the Mortal Kombat 12, the newest Mortal Kombat, has kind of been up in the ether for a little while. It's been you know, MK11 was what, 2019 or something, or 2020?
2019. We've gotten a new Mortal Kombat every 4 years since since the last time they rebooted the franchise with MK9 effectively back in 2011. We got MK9 back in 2011, MKX came out in 2015, MK11 we got in 2019, and here we are, 2023, and it's all beginning again.
Mortal Kombat 1.
Literally.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat 1. Yeah, so after trolling the Twitterverse for a long time, which Ed Boon is wont to do, yes, after a bunch of teases, and you got the hourglass grain of sand and the whole thing with the shattering clock and the second hand, like, jutting from 11 all the way back to 1. Sure enough, we finally got the trailer for Mortal Kombat 1 just yesterday as we're recording this, and it was glorious. It was cinematic beauty. This is always what they do, at least now. This is always what NetherRealm Studios does. The official reveal trailer, even though the official reveal of Mortal Kombat 12/1 was just kind of offhandedly mentioned by some random executive in an interview a while back, we now actually finally officially have media and information, and this trailer showed off this brand new era. If you're familiar with the story at all, the end of the last game essentially culminated with all of history effectively being wiped out, and the newly christened Fire God Liu Kang being able to remake the universe in whatever image he so chose. So they were they were very clearly setting up for this at the end of the game. This is not, the fact that they're rebooting the franchise shouldn't really come as too much of a surprise to anybody who actually played through the story mode of Mortal Kombat 11. But sure enough, they went through with it, and here we are with Mortal Kombat 1. They showed off Fire God Liu Kang, but in addition to that, we see like very young versions of a lot of classic Mortal Kombat characters. We saw a character which appeared to be Kung Lao, possibly even the Great Kung Lao. We see a character who's probably a young Raiden, a non-Thunder God Raiden. We saw both Katana and Mileena. We saw both Scorpion and Sub-Zero. We saw Shang Tsung, and it was pretty beautiful. And it was essentially just Liu Kang saying, like, hey, do you want to be good or bad? Do you want to, be rivals or brothers? Do you want to do stuff? And then Shang Tsung just shows up and kills a bunch of people. And then maybe the greatest trailer fatality that Mortal Kombat has ever shown off, Fire God Liu Kang. They built up Shang Tsung as if he's going to be the big bad of the story mode, but then he gets absolutely murdered, literally absolutely murdered at the end of the trailer. So I did think that was kind of weird, but the trailer absolutely is worth taking a look at. There was no gameplay whatsoever. As a matter of fact, we didn't even really get a hint of how the game was going to play from the trailer, which is great that in addition to the trailer, the Mortal Kombat 1 website launched in conjunction with it and actually gave us a lot of new information. There's still a ton to see, and Ed Boon, during a 10-minute community Q&A earlier, even said that there is going to be a, quote, dense campaign of information coming out in the lead up to the game. Just in the past day and a half, we've already gotten confirmation of DLC and a whole new system called cameo fighting, and we've already got to see not just the collector statue that's coming with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X version of the game. Curiously, not the Nintendo Switch version of the game, which could be an indicator of how seriously they're taking the Nintendo Switch version of the game. But Yeah, there's already so much to talk about. The big things I want to hit are absolutely the cameo fighters, because the cameo fighters are going. It's going to be an assist based game. This is something they've toyed with just a little bit in more like the special battles in MKX, MK11. There were some special tower battles and special event battles where other characters would come in and kind of assist you or assist against you. But now they're actually working that into the core mechanics of the main game. Honestly, the fact that they're creating brand new models and attack animations for these characters that are going to wind up being, they confirm this, a separate roster of characters to choose from as these assists, not full-on playable characters. There's just something I know that's going to be inherently disappointing about that, because inevitably there's going to be a few characters that you really like that are just going to be relegated to being cameo fighters, essentially. They're going to create models, they're going to create attack animations, but they're not going to be playable. And I know that's going to wind up being disappointing. We haven't seen any gameplay yet, so this is really, this information that we've gotten already is kind of all we have to sit with right now. That being said, I think it's pretty obvious timing. I think it's pretty clear that they scheduled the reveal for this week because there is a massive PlayStation State of Play coming next week, and with Ed Boon again confirming a quote-unquote dense campaign of information. I mean, that all but confirms to me that there's going to be some type of gameplay reveal at the PlayStation State of Play next week or in some very near future events. So we won't have to wait too long. I mean, the game comes out September 19th. Yeah, we're only a few months away. Yeah, we're already a few months away from the release of the game, which is actually what they did with Mortal Kombat 11 as well. They revealed Mortal Kombat 11 at the Game Awards 2018 and released it like April of the following year. Just like Mortal Kombat 11, there was like 4 or 5 months between official reveal and having it in our hands. But for the next-gen systems, there's also going to be an open beta, and I believe it's an open beta in August prior to release. But we can expect a ton of information in the next few months. They've already been posting a lot since that initial reveal. If you're a fighting game fan, I'm sure you've already seen the trailer a bunch. It really makes me happy that this is coming to the Nintendo Switch. It is being ported. The Nintendo Switch port is being worked on by Shiver Entertainment and Saber Interactive, the same companies that worked on the Mortal Kombat 11 Switch port. So if you enjoyed the Mortal Kombat Switch port, that's probably good news. If you really didn't like the Mortal Kombat 11 Switch port, you're probably already groaning. But that's what's going on with the Nintendo Switch version of this game. And I'm going to go ahead and take a breath because I'm just unreasonably excited. Because, again, yes, I'm a massive fighting game fan, and Mortal Kombat is one of my favorite franchises. Since the reveal and since the teases of the Mortal Kombat trailer began last week, I've just been binging Mortal Kombat YouTube videos. So yes, I'm a little bit excited, folks.
I love how excited you are about it, and it's great for me because I have no idea. I'm glad we have an Eric who knows about this kind of thing and who can be excited, because I'm sitting here just the the emoji thing with just the eye and the open mouth, just what? I have no clue.
Yeah.
For me, I'm I like Mortal Kombat.
I could literally write a book on a couple of the different Mortal Kombat games. I could literally write a book.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's super exciting. I can't wait. This is going to be a game that's going to have legs for years. They released a dozen, I think 15, 16 some odd DLC characters for Mortal Kombat 11. A massive story expansion, a ton of skins and all kinds of stuff. They did also confirm the return of their little in-game currency, combat crystals or whatever it is, which made me groan a little bit, admittedly, but they did have kind of a light touch in Mortal Kombat 11, so I'm hoping that they remain a very obvious, non required part to enjoy a lot of the unlockables and collectibles. So I don't know. When it comes to games in 2023, in-game currency is already a big red flag. But again, they didn't really push it down our throats with MK11. So I'm hoping to see the same thing here. I know there's already a lot of supposed leaks out about the characters and the DLC and stuff like that. I can say one thing that is officially confirmed, which I think is amazing, is the fact that there is going to be a Jean-Claude Van Damme skin for Johnny Cage.
That's good. Yeah.
That's so good. That's perfect. Absolutely perfect. And for those people wondering why I think that's perfect, this is Mortal Kombat 1. This is a reboot. The universe is beginning again. A lot of you out there may not know the original Mortal Kombat 1, the original game, was originally developed. It began development as a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie game, and the movie wound up not happening. That's the whole reason you have a Johnny Cage movie star character in the game. That was supposed to be Jean-Claude Van Damme's character. So here we now have a new Mortal Kombat 1, and finally the truth, finally the promise is being fulfilled, essentially. So that's perfect. I love that so much.
Oh, it's so good. You have support in the chat, by the way. Locklets here saying, you have passion, Eric. You're good.
Oh, I do.
Yeah, Sam in the chat says, now we just need the same for Guile in Street Fighter 6. So that would be pretty sick, actually. That'd be into that.
That would be pretty sick, actually. Absolutely. This game is clearly being prioritized on next-gen systems.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
It'd be insincere of me to say that I wasn't a little concerned about how the Nintendo Switch version of the game is going to run, because the Nintendo Switch is still running off of 2017 hardware. So this is already an upgrade from a game that I'm surprised is on the Nintendo Switch and Mortal Kombat 11 anyway. I'm going to be very, very interested to see specifically the performance of the Nintendo Switch version. So we will keep you guys updated with I'm going to keep you guys updated.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, the Switch port is going to be interesting, because I assume that it's going to run on like an updated version of the MK11 engine that they developed. MK11 evidently sold really well actually on Switch. So I assume that that's why they're like, oh, well, then we need to look into, dedicating resources to doing this again for MK1. So I think it's probably going to, from what I understand, MK11 is actually like a locked, like frame rate on Switch, like runs well on Switch. Doesn't look good, but it runs well. Right.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, there was always going to be, when it comes to like true next gen games, unless you're going to try to do something like a cloud version, or even even with some of the cloud version games, there are just graphical considerations and graphical sacrifices that we're going to have to make. But one of the big things when it comes to the cloud versions on the Nintendo Switch that we've seen is there is a noticeable several frames of lag.
Oh, yeah.
Like that's very apparent. Like you can't do that with a fighting game.
Right. Yeah.
Fighting games require such precise reactions and movements that they couldn't have done a Mortal Kombat 12 cloud version. The only way that especially if you're going to try, could you imagine just the lag from the cloud version compounded with the lag from playing online? It'd be unplayable. It'd be unplayable by today's standards.
Yeah, I think what we're going to see, and we might end up seeing more and more of this, especially like Hogwarts Legacy got a delay to November out of its July date. And I think that what we're going to see more and more of, it reminds me a lot of when the Wii was still kicking around in the PS3 and Xbox 360 era. And people were just making Wii versions of the games because they wanted to be on that platform and sell those copies, but the games were like fundamentally different games, and I think that might be exactly what's happening here. Like MK1 is going to be on the Switch, but it's going to be a very different experience from what's happening, in the sort of like core main entry on PS5 and Xbox.
There was a small part of me that was hoping small part of me that was kind of hoping that, hey, sorry, Switch owners, MK12 is going to be exclusively next gen, but we have a really cool consolation price for you, and we've got like a Mortal Kombat Legacy collection on there. There was a small part of me that was kind of hoping to see a Digital Eclipse logo during this presentation. But I am still excited to be playing Mortal Kombat 12 when it comes, or I'm sorry, Mortal Kombat 1 when it comes out. Man. Ironically enough, somebody said, hey, this is technically Mortal Kombat 1, 2, because there's already a Mortal Kombat 1. It's like, hey, Ed, this is technically a Mortal Kombat 1, 2, so it's Mortal Kombat 12. And Ed Boon retweeted that and said, sure, we'll go with that.
Sure.
So
totally intentional.
So that's canon. Yeah. That's canon now, apparently.
Completely intentional. Well, yeah, I mean, look, I'm it's one of those things where, like, when you just see your friends excited, it's hard not to be excited, and that's kind of where I'm at. Like, I don't know if I still haven't really played MK11 like at all. So, like, for me, I'm mostly just
I put so much time into MK11.
Oh yeah.
If gameplay wise, there is one thing I really, really hope that they bring back, because they are already talking about a very different gameplay feel. But with MKX, they introduced a new form of finisher called brutalities, and they became incredibly popular very quickly, and they greatly expanded on that in Mortal Kombat 11. And they're absolutely fantastic. They're absolutely fantastic. They basically just take normal moves or special moves the character already has, and if you end the fight, sometimes after securing prerequisites or doing something specific throughout the course of the match, if you end the fight with certain moves, it'll morph it into a fatality, but they call it brute. So I really hope brutalities come back. Brutalities on a next gen Mortal Kombat game, just with the fatality that we saw with Fire God Liu Kang and his fire dragon and his lightning and the whole
Yeah. There was already, like, next gen gore is going to be pretty intense. Locklith in the chat says Mario Kart 11. Yeah, of course. We're jumping straight to 11 with Mario Kart. So yeah, that's what it'll be.
Absolutely. But I mean, between this and Tekken 8 and Street Fighter 6, I'm not going to be the first one to say it. Yeah, a huge year for fighting games. So I'm here for it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm happy you're happy, and I look forward to hearing more about Mortal Kombat 1. Hopefully we get a chance to check out the Switch version, report to y'all kind of what it's like on Switch, see what the deal is there. So
I will be honest, as excited as I am, I will be honest with you guys the second I get the chance to play the Nintendo Switch version of the game.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, Eric, if we are we prepared? Are you do you have it out of your system? Can we move on to the next story, or
I mean, Seth, you know me. We've known each other for over 10 years now.
Yeah.
I can talk about fighting games and Mortal Kombat all night long.
Absolutely.
I mean, what was it? Dan and Sam made the mistake of inviting me on the show on Retro Logic to talk about fighting games, and
yeah, it was I think one of the longest Retro Logic episodes they've done, which is funny. Yeah. Hey man, Eric knows his stuff when it comes to fighting games, dude.
I do.
Like, that's it. Lachlan says that they've got Mortal Kombat X, but it's too graphic for her. Yeah, you might want to stay away from this one then, because it seems like they might be ratcheting it up. Maybe don't even watch the CGI trailer, for being real.
Mortal Kombat has always been like they've like the narrative and the story of Mortal Kombat has became one of the series' biggest calling cards.
Totally.
They do these massive, ever since MK versus DC, they've been doing these huge, massive narrative cinematic story modes, and that's become one of NRS's big staples since, again, MK versus DC. But yes, it's still going to be Mortal Kombat, a game that built its entire legacy on gore and shock factor, essentially. Mortal Kombat is the reason that we have an ESRB logo at the bottom of every single case of every single game sold in the United States. It's because of Mortal Kombat. That's always been a part of the franchise. So, yeah, maybe not good for your toddler.
Yeah. Keep them locked up. Hide the kids, play it when the kids go to bed, and if you're
hide your kids, hide your wife.
That's right. That's right. And if you don't like the gore, stay far away. But Eric, you pulled out, for those who are listening to the podcast version, Eric referenced his Tears of the Kingdom case to point out the ESRB logo. Tears of the Kingdom, Eric, you're holding there one of over 10 million units that were sold of Tears of the Kingdom in just the first 3 days of the game being out on market.
That's nuts.
Crazy.
That, to put it in perspective, is more than many Nintendo franchises' lifetime sales.
Yeah, it's huge numbers. That's Pokemon numbers. Like, that's what Pokemon,
Yeah.
those are Pokemon level numbers for Tears of the Kingdom. So, huge deal. The game is massive. Of course, we're giving some early impressions on the podcast that goes live tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. And of course, we're going to do a huge review on the podcast as well, whenever the time comes. But Eric and I have both, between the two of us, put like 120 plus hours into the game already. We're both.
That's not hyperbole.
No, it's not. It isn't whatsoever. We're both totally hooked on it. As soon as we're done tonight, I'm going to get straight back into the game. So, but yeah, man, I mean, like, it's cool to see the game doing so well. Breath of the Wild, lifetime sales were just under 30 million. So it's pretty easy to see how Tears of the Kingdom is going to surpass Breath of the Wild sales over the course of its lifetime, especially if we wind up getting like a hardware refresh.
Yeah.
So yeah, congratulations to Nintendo on like what is probably going to be like heralded as one of the great games in Nintendo history, honestly, by the time it's all said and done.
Well, we'll see, once our review, the real review, comes out, to really solidify where it's going to sit within Nintendo history. That's, I know, what everybody's waiting on. Give us some time.
Give us time. We'll get to it.
Yeah.
We're letting it cook. We will get to it. There'll be plenty. We'll be talking about Tears of the Kingdom for probably the rest of the year, if we're being honest. Like, this game's massive.
Probably.
Plenty of coverage to come. Yeah.
Game is very big.
As I said, though, those are kind of Pokemon numbers, and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet came out now just over 6 months ago, Eric. And there was a little bit of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet news this week. Not that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet news, but a couple of backpedaling moves that they've had to do. In fact, in 2 cases, because they revealed earlier this week that the Pokemon Home integration for the game would be coming on the 24th. And then I believe earlier today, they were like, psych, it's not coming yet.
So they officially revealed a date, and then literally the next day backpedaled on that date, saying in the tweet that, it was mistaken. It should never have been.
It's yet to be announced. They said, it was like, well, you did announce it. So, I mean, super weird. And then they also had, and you'd pointed this out right before we went live tonight. They had this massive like raid event that is going on. Introducing Paradox Pokemon.
They have Chestnut. They've been doing a lot of like the classic Pokemon starters as 7-star raids, with the Mightiest Mark and all that stuff. And they've been really cool, good reasons for people to jump back into the game and catch a lot of their old favorite starters from games of yore. But they added Chestnut for this weekend's raid. But in addition to that, they finally added in raid Paradox Pokemon, Iron Treads and Great Tusk. And I was actually super excited about this because Paradox Pokemon is one of like my favorite things that Scarlet and Violet introduced. However, the game is apparently even more broken still than I realized, Seth.
Yeah, because they had to recant that as well. They were like, psych, sorry. They're apparently it's so buggy that they've had to hold back plans on that too. So yeah.
They 3 hours after the raids went live, they issued a tweet saying an error has been found and they are having to suspend all 3 raids: the Great Tusk, the Iron Treads, and the Chestnut raid. So guys, like we like Scarlet and Violet. We do.
The game's great.
Yeah, but fix it.
It is so inexcusable, especially after playing Tears of the Kingdom. And I mean, the difference between those two games is one of them was able to cook for like 6+ years, and the other
Mm-hmm.
one was rushed out the door,
Yeah.
to make it in time for merch and anime and stuff like this. So like that's the difference. But I'm like, hey gang, maybe it should at least work first before even your updates to raids, not even like core updates to the game to fix performance. Phelan here in the chat, who is one of the biggest Pokemon fans I know, he says this
Yeah.
is the second time they had to suspend raids. Little embarrassing, TBH. It is. It's totally embarrassing. Like, these are just little updates. This isn't even the massive performance patch that they have promised since the game came out. The game's been out for 6 months, and they're wanting people to be excited for DLC to come later this year. The game is still busted. You can't even add raids into it without it breaking. It's embarrassing. That's the right word.
Yeah. And to see multiple backpedals about this in regards to a nice big open world high profile game in the week after Tears of the Kingdom launched to basically universal awe, to look at Pokemon and to like, it's almost like Tears of the Kingdom caused Pokemon Scarlet and Violet to break even more just by its sheer proximity.
It was kind of sad because before we started recording tonight, you were like, well, I might actually, jump. I might go away from Tears of the Kingdom this weekend and do a little Pokemon because I'm excited about these raids. And then you look at Twitter, you're like, oh, like, never mind.
Yeah.
Like it's too much. I mean, come on, guys.
It is. Good luck at regionals, Phelan.
Yeah, Phelan, good luck. Phelan is one of the hosts of the Damage Counter Pokemon Trading Card Game podcast. He's been on this show. He's a longtime friend and supporter of the show. And he does, if you're into the Pokemon TCG, Phelan is the one to consult and follow for sure. So good luck, Phelan. Best of luck to you, my friend. Eric, not all is bad when it comes to Nintendo game updates, though, because we did get details on the new Sizzle season for Splatoon 3 that launches on June 1st, the new season of content, as always, adding new stages and adding new weapons and all kinds of things, even adding a new Salmon Run stage.
Yeah, I saw that. That looks really, really cool. I'm glad they showed off the Salmon Run stuff separate from everything, because after the whole Season 3's, the Sizzles thing and whatever, I saw the Super Scope, and I was just like, Super Scope. That's all I saw. That's all I was able to remember from that, is the classic Super Scope weapon from, if you had an actual IRL Super Scope from back in the SNES days. I'm pretty sure it was in Splatoon 2 as well. But
I think so. Yeah.
But it's coming to Splatoon 3, in addition to everything else, the win poses and new stages and all that stuff. Splatoon 3 continuing to be a fantastic gift that keeps on giving. We may be talking about Splatoon 3 a little bit in tomorrow's full episode. To tease. But I'm here for it. This is free DLC. So
yeah, new season of content. If you're a Splatoon 3 fan, there's a lot to like here. You already mentioned it's called the S Blast 92, which is great.
That's so good.
They've also got a new paintbrush weapon being added.
Yeah.
Which is cool. We've got the standard stuff, new catalog items, clothes, emotes, table turf battle cards. That's still coming. They're adding this interesting thing called challenges, which are special battles with like separate challenge conditions. Like apparently there will be increased jump height and fog and stuff. But bafflingly, a big thing that we've praised Splatoon 3 for is moving away from the sort of weird, archaic, like timed events that they used to have, where you could only do, Salmon Run and these little like 2-hour windows. Well, these challenges are going back to that, where the challenge battles can only happen during brief, I believe, 2-hour windows of time, kind of sporadically. And it feels like an odd kind of, again, an odd kind of decision, a backpedal, to the old way of doing it. Just make it a new mode that I can just play whenever I want,
It's one of those things where I guess they were hoping people wouldn't be able to complain too much because it's free stuff.
Sure.
But, it's one of those things where, and I really wish that more people understood this. giving something to someone for free is great. However, adding a massive annoying caveat can still put a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
Takes the wind out of the sails, right? Just,
Yeah.
if you were hyped for it, well, all right. Because I thought it sounded cool, but and maybe I think the if somebody from the Splatoon team was here right now, they would probably say, well, we wanted it to feel like a special, like limited time event or something like that. And whatever, I get it. You already have that. You have that with Big Run. You have that with Splatfest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So just like if you're adding in a mode like that, just leave it as something permanent that I could just get on and do with my friends whenever I have the time to do it.
If you want to do something like that, you know what? Okay, but a 2-hour window is not feasible for everybody. People have jobs. People have school. People have other commitments in their lives. Make it a 6 or an 8-hour window or something.
Yeah.
But 2-hour windows are going to be incredibly hard for a lot of people. Like, you're expecting people to plan their lives around your game. Games are not supposed to be, as much as we love video games, there's more important things in our lives. Video games are in many respects an addendum, an escape, an extra little piece of luxury that we like. They're not the things that we are going to reschedule other major life events. Like, I'm sorry, honey, can we get married maybe an hour later?
Yeah. So I have the actual exact date here. So just for actual, full transparency, 3 play windows starting, and this is like 3-hour windows of time, 2 to 3 hour windows of time over the course of, it looks like, 3 days. So from June 2nd, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. So that's 2 hours. June 3rd from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. and then June 3rd from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. all times Pacific time.
Yep.
So that's how they're kind of kicking off the season. So these are small windows of time over the course of just a couple of sessions. Like, I don't know. It seems like a big miss to me. They also announced that, speaking of Big Run, they are doing another one on June 9th from 5 p.m. until June 11th. So very cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, new Big Run coming. Big Run's always fun. I do like that.
Yeah. I mean, this is just kind of one admittedly big gripe, but still there's a ton of stuff for this new season that I'm still really excited for. New stuff, more content in an already phenomenal game. Give me more table turf cards. I will get them all. Yes, please, and thank you.
Yeah, you get more of those. New stage, Barnacle and Dime Battleground. Returning stage from Splatoon 2, Humpback Pump Track. And then the new Salmon Run stage is Jammin' Salmon Junction. Yeah, really good. So I know there are some people who are still big into Splatoon. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheesy, I know.
So, Cheesy's all over this, I'm sure. But so that happens. June 1st is the kickoff of Sizzle season. Let us know if you are looking forward to Splatoon. But Eric, this next story is a little bit more in our wheelhouse, my friend.
All right. So, I guess we're going from one watery shooting-based game to another watery shooting-based game.
Why not?
But Seth and I have become kind of enraptured with PowerWash Simulator since it released on the Nintendo Switch earlier this year. And of course, Square Enix has dropped an entire roadmap of content and events that we can expect from PowerWash Simulator in 2023. They announced a, air quotes, physical version for the Nintendo Switch. I say air quotes because it's just a game download. There's no code in the box. But they did talk about new content coming to the game. And we actually got a big piece of that, I believe, last month with some new bonus missions. But now we have another collab. We had Tomb Raider. We had Final Fantasy VII. What could possibly be the next big crossover? Seth, we're going to Bikini Bottom.
Yeah, it's SpongeBob because power washing under the sea makes sense. Sure.
It makes total sense to me, I guess, but that's just amazing. That's so good. I love the new power wash design that you're going to be able to get. That looks absolutely fantastic. But yes, sure enough, you're going to be able to power wash in a pineapple under the sea.
Yeah. Well, they showed, it was a brief teaser where they showed kind of that main, like, I don't know what you'd call it, that street that SpongeBob is like,
Yeah.
is on with his house, Squidward's house, Patrick's house.
Hmm.
They said in the press release that I believe it's going to be 7 new missions in all. So I'm assuming that's just one of many new missions.
Yeah,
So,
you're going to be the Krusty Krab's going to be in
Sure.
it. I'm sure. I wouldn't even surprise me. This hasn't happened yet, but it wouldn't surprise me if a couple of the actual characters appeared.
That'd be interesting.
So we'll see. We'll see. I say it technically hasn't happened because I don't consider the Guard Scorpion and the Airbuster characters necessarily from
Sure.
Final Fantasy VII. But I am interested. Like, I really like the fact that PowerWash Simulator is getting even more out there with these collaborations. It feels like there's not too much that's really off the table at this point. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what's next. You and I have both played a lot of it. It's just a ridiculously, insanely satisfying game to play. Fantastic game to just sit down and listen to all into.
That's right.
So I'm sure you and I might have to do another co-op session. Once that comes out.
That's the thing. Like, PowerWash Simulator defies all logic. Like, not only is the game super relaxing, super fun, but the Switch port is excellent, looks great, runs great. The online co-op, we had no real issues with it at all. When we played together online. I mean, like, it just is
Check out our video on YouTube. Seth and I did a co-op video where we power washed, where we tag teamed the Guard Scorpion from Final Fantasy VII.
It's a relaxing game.
Final Fantasy VII Remake DLC on the Nintendo Switch, just not for Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah. So really cool, man. Huge congrats to that team. Like, that PowerWash Simulator team is crushing it. So
yeah, they are,
and really cool that Square Enix like publishes a game like that. That's so out of their normal wheelhouse. So it's really cool that they've given it their backing. So looking forward to that.
And if you like memes, if you're big into memes, follow PowerWash Simulator on Twitter. It's just a very meme-tastic social media team.
They're big into that. So that we don't have the hard release date for it. We just know it's coming sometime this summer. So
yes.
Very, very cool. Next story here is a little less happy, I guess, but kind of similar.
Staying underwater. Staying underwater.
Staying under the sea, for sure. A game that we've been looking forward to for a while now, Another Crab's Treasure from Aggro Crab Games, has unfortunately been delayed to early 2024. And I want to point you guys to their Twitter post about this, because they did, I believe, like a 6-tweet thread kind of explaining the reasoning for the delay. And it's like the normal stuff.
They felt so bad.
But you could tell they felt awful for delaying the game. But it was a very, like, refreshingly honest, with all of their same, like, humor that they always have, but also very kind of like hat in hand. This is why we're delaying this. We want this game to be as good as it can possibly be. The scale of it has increased dramatically. We want it to be an actual contender in this genre. And so, like, it's hard to be too mad about it. It's hard to be too upset when there is clearly so much passion at Aggro Crab going into this strange Dark Souls, but you're playing as a crab game.
my favorite thing about this entire situation is the next day they posted a follow-up tweet with apparently like the vast majority of the responses they got were just incredibly supportive and understanding, so much so that they were genuinely not expecting that reaction from people. So they actually posted like a lot of they collaged a lot of the reactions, and they were like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. We didn't possibly think that you guys would be this supportive of our decision. Thank you." And it was just so nice to see. An actual wholesome Twitter moment on the internet. We get so few of those. Cherish them.
Yeah, cherish them. Well, we'll be definitely supporting the game when it comes out early next year. Looking forward to playing it for sure. So
I mean, you could sarcastically look at it and say, "Oh, Tears of the Kingdom came out. Time to delay our game." And it's like, "Oh man, look at everything they did. I guess we got to push ours back now."
It was always kind of a vague, like, 2023 anyway. So this didn't necessarily shock me. Would I have loved to play it like in December or something like that? Sure, but It's fine. Let it cook. It's going to be great when it comes out. I'm confident in that. Looking forward to it. Eric,
Me too.
This one stings a little bit more, although I'll admit, I played Pac-Man 99 a lot when it first came out.
Did you really?
When it first came out, like that first week, I played it every day for like that first week. Got a Pac 1, got a win on my very first round. Which was
go
funny.
ahead and pop your collar there.
Yeah, I'm good at Pac-Man. That's my game. The game, unfortunately, the online support is being discontinued as of October 8th of this year. Now, you will still be able to play the game offline in the offline mode, but the main Pac-Man 99 online mode will be discontinued as of October 8th, which is super unfortunate. I'm assuming the player base has kind of fallen off quite a bit, unfortunately. And to be frank, like there are a ton of Pac-Man experiences on the Switch at this point. So I'm not shocked, but it is still kind of sad.
Well, when it comes to stuff like this, if you're going to have a free-to-play game like this, you are going to live or die based on the content and the incentives that you add into the game to get people to keep coming back. That's why Tetris 99 is still out, because they have the Maximus Cups. That's why Fall Guys is still around, because they keep adding interesting new content. That's why Fortnite is still a juggernaut all these years later. So it doesn't surprise me, but that's the blueprint that has been established with games like these. That's just kind of what you have to do. You can't just release a free-to-play game and then just let it be and hope that it's able to self-sustain itself. It's a baby. You got to nurture it.
Yeah. It's unfortunate. RIP. I'm probably going to have to go in there and get a few more games in before it closes. But, again, I look at this too and I'm like, if I'm somebody as a Pac-Man fan, like I would much sooner reach for Museum Plus or
Museum Plus is so good. I love Museum Plus.
There's just so many other Pac-Man experiences on Switch that you can play. So it is a little bit hard to justify the existence of this, as cool as it is. So RIP. And Eric, unfortunately, I would like to say that we're bouncing to a happy story, but we're going from one cancellation to another, unfortunately, because Blizzard announced this week that they're canceling the long-awaited PvE mode for Overwatch 2. They say they're still, quote, committed to PvE in some form, just not in the way they initially envisioned it. So PvE, by the way, y'all, if you've kept up with Overwatch 2, which is available on the Nintendo Switch, that's
why we're talking about it.
Yeah, they PvE was kind of the reason for it to exist.
Exactly. That's the thing. That was like, hey, with the sequel, we're adding PvE, so it's going to be a much bigger, much more satisfying, much more varied experience for you. Of course, you're still going to have the classic Overwatch that people know, but that's the whole reason for the sequel is PvE and all this other stuff. And now it's like, oh, it's just Overwatch again.
Yeah, basically. Now, they did say that they're doing some and they have done some PvE content, even in Overwatch 1. Overwatch 1 even had some, like, they would do special events where you could do, like, co-op missions. My cousin, my wife, and I, we played quite a bit of Overwatch 1, and it was always cool whenever they would add stuff like that into the game, and it sounds like they're going to continue to do that, but they were planning essentially like a story campaign with, like, talent trees and all this stuff.
This was a selling point. This was specifically and explicitly a big selling point for Blizzard and Activision for this game. This is a promise now that people bought the game following this promise that they have now broken.
So here's the thing, though. They didn't buy the game. The game's free to play. Right?
Yeah, well,
so,
yeah.
So, and even like the content that you do pay for is aesthetic content. It's not, they didn't actually pay for content. So I think that's why Blizzard is like, is kind of willing to let some of these ideas go. And I think it sucks. Like it's unfortunate for people who are looking forward to it, but like the game's free to play. So I'm also like, kind of like, well, I think that they're more so focused on making that core Overwatch experience as good as it is. But like, I don't understand why you couldn't have just, if that was the plan, just continue to make Overwatch a live service thing rather than calling it Overwatch 2, because it is kind of hard to justify like a new numbered sequel entry when it's effectively just an updated version of what came before at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I don't know if I had thought that something was coming and I invested a lot of time and effort and money into, just hoping that the PvE stuff was coming, I don't know. That still really burns me. I don't even play Overwatch 2, but just dropping an entire selling point of the game after people have already been playing it and investing in it. And again, like, even though, like you said, the game itself is free, there are ways to spend money in there, and people have.
Yeah.
So,
to be honest, again, I don't play Overwatch 2. I haven't played Overwatch in many years at this point. I would love to hear from people. Leave us comments. Let us know.
Yeah,
if
absolutely.
You're an Overwatch
Yes,
player.
please.
Let us know if you're burned by this. I talked to my cousin about this earlier today, who is a huge Overwatch 2 player. He and his friends play it on an almost daily basis, and they're not too upset. Like he and his friends aren't. They're kind of like, oh, whatever. Kind of saw the writing on the wall. They're there for that core experience, and like, it kind of sucks. It would have been nice to see, but at the same time, like, at least for them, they were just kind of like, yeah, whatever. Like, it is what it is. And as long as we still continue to get the occasional PvE thing, I think they're more or less happy. And maybe Blizzard did like some outreach to kind of take the temperature of people beforehand anyway, focus test and things like this. So I don't know. I mean, I just, there's been a lot of like very vitriolic takes on this on the internet over the past week since they announced this, and I do think that there's more nuance to it than people are giving it credit for. It sucks, it's unfortunate, and I'm sure they're not happy with it either, but maybe not lazy devs or whatever people like to say.
No, I'm not at all implying that. Especially at the developer level, this this decision wasn't made by the developers. But yeah, again, I'm a big single player guy anyway. So when I see that, content more geared toward that is being taken out, then that's why it frustrates me so much. Is because cool, yeah, I like to get online and play multiplayer and do stuff with my friends as much as the next guy, but single player content is precious to me.
Yeah,
so
you'll be all right. You'll live. You'll live to fight another day. Eric, last thing I want to highlight here before we hit into notable releases, we got NSO Thursday, the return of NSO Thursday this week.
And it's a weird one.
It is a bit of a weird one.
Yeah, so it's a weird one. We are getting our May update is Super Mario Advance, Super Mario Advance 2, and Super Mario Advance 3. All three dropping next week, May 26th. And for those who don't know, Super Mario Advance 1, 2, and 3 is in sequence Super Mario Brothers 2, Super Mario Advance, Super Mario World, Super Mario Advance 2, and Super Mario Brothers
Yoshi's Island.
Yoshi, that's right. Yeah. Yoshi. I was about to say Super Mario Brothers 3, but no, it's Super Mario Brothers 3, Super Mario Advance 4. So the Super Mario Advance series is bonkers. But we're getting all three of this trilogy of Super Mario Advance games next week. And this one specifically is weird to me because the Game Boy Advance is part of the expansion pack, the NSO Plus expansion pack. You have to pay more for the expansion pack. It's interesting that we are getting a big update to the NSO Plus expansion pack with 3 games that are already available in arguably better forms on just the regular Nintendo Switch Online service.
Yeah. It's a weird one, man. And Sam, by the way, points out that Super Mario World 2, Yoshi's Island, Super Mario Advance 3.
Yes. Yes.
It's so stupid. The naming conventions are crazy and dumb. Yeah, I mean, it is weird because you can play these base games already on the like free, or not free, but the lower tier,
base version of
the base
NSO.
version of NSO, right? So that is odd. I will say, like, playing devil's advocate a little bit, the version of Super Mario 2 that is Super Mario Advance is pretty cool. Like
it is arguably the definitive version. Yeah, I still personally really like the Super Mario Advance version on the Super Nintendo, or not the Super Mario All Stars version on the Super Nintendo. Thank you.
Yeah.
But admittedly, yes, that is probably Super Mario Advance is probably the definitive version of Super Mario Brothers 2. But I guess this is why they're just releasing all three of these in one pack.
Right.
Just to, kind of throw these out here. I will say Nintendo should be looking every single release of games specifically on the expansion pack. I think Nintendo should be looking at as an opportunity to sell more copies of that expansion pack. And honestly, with the fact that these games are all available in at least one, in the case of Super Mario Brothers 2, it's available in multiple forms already on the base version of the NSO. I could see some people, I'm happy to get them, but I could see some people strengthening the argument in their own head that they don't even need the expansion pack if they're just getting, parser versions of games they already have for less money. Yeah. And that's a narrow argument for this one drop. But again, they have stopped updating the games regularly. I think we get games like once a month now. And I just think Nintendo should be looking at every game drop as a specific opportunity to sell more expansion pack subscriptions. And this one may get one or two to cancel, frankly.
It's a weak drop. It's definitely a weak drop. And it was funny because when my actual first reaction to this was, I thought those were already on there. Like, that, what it should have been, those honestly should have just been part of the first wave. I agree. When they released it, it should have just been part of the launch lineup, because these games are kind of just like, they're fine and they're good, and I'm happy we have them here for preservation, if nothing else. It's nice to have them on the service or whatever, but they do feel like kind of vanilla, like bog standard, like, okay, like cool, like neat, I guess, but like, I'm probably going to reach for a lot of the other versions of these games before I reach for those. I might boot them up just to kind of get a little nostalgia hit, play it for 5 minutes and move on, Yeah. So.
Yeah, they're cool to have, but I would, especially in the case of Super Mario Advance 2 and Super Mario Advance 3, I would say just boot up the Super Nintendo. Yeah. Because they're both there. But I mean, there's still some really good games we know are coming for the GBA app on the horizon. Still some classic games we know are coming on the horizon for GBA. But of all the game drops, I did think this one was kind of weird, admittedly. But again, let us know your thoughts on it.
Yeah, let us know, Eric. We don't have a lot of notable releases to hit.
No, we do not.
Everybody's still a little scared of Zelda, and probably for good reason, but we do have a few interesting notable releases to highlight this week. I want to start with this game Murtop, which I've heard from a few people, and this is one that I was kind of interested in checking out. I think it's only like $3.99 on sale right now. Okay. It's this arcadey kind of experience. The Flint's Arcade is the publisher for this, and they sent a press release that described it as a mix of Bomberman and Dig Dug. Kind of a classic kind of, point chaser sort of thing, which seems cool. Kevin Fagerhagen, who's a friend of mine, I've had him on Keep Nintendo Weird. He highly recommends the game. He did like some artwork, I think, to celebrate the launch.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I saw that.
He gave away some copies of the game, so it comes highly recommended from Kevin. And Steven's NES, another friend, has also recommended the game. He's been playing it for some time, I think. So sounds interesting. Seems cool. Again, it's unfortunate release timing for pretty much anything right now because everybody's just playing Zelda.
Yeah, which is kind of mind-blowing that the next big Lego game decided to drop this week. Lego 2K Drive, especially for a game that had an expensive version, like a premium version, that came with a several-day early access window. It's like, nobody's going to care about early access the week after Tears of the Kingdom came out. But like early access meant nothing the week after Tears of the Kingdom. So I'd actually like to see the numbers on how many premium edition of those they sold. But the game does look really cool. And when you and I saw the trailer for it, the visuals blew us away. We genuinely couldn't believe that footage was captured on a Nintendo Switch.
That's
it
what
looks
I wanna
really
see. Yeah.
And it looks really cool. You and I both have a pretty long history with the Lego games. We did a full review on Skywalker Saga when it came out a while back, and I've played probably 24 Lego adventure games in my time. I am really interested to check this out, but yeah, again, weird release window.
Yeah, it's weird. I do want to play it. I'll probably get to it at some point, but you know, who knows, man? Who knows when I'll have time to play anything that's not Zelda? I'm staring down the barrel of Zelda right now, and then you got Diablo 4 right around the corner. That's also going to consume a lot of my life. So yeah, I'm host.
Street Fighter 6 comes out in 2 weeks, so
yeah, I'm host. Yeah. So. Last weird little thing that I want to shout out here in the notable releases is a bit of DLC that dropped actually today for the Wonderful 101 Remastered specifically. The After School Hero DLC, which is a 2-part... this is part of the... If anybody remembers, a couple years ago, the Wonderful 101 Platinum did a Kickstarter campaign for the Wonderful 101 Remastered, which I backed. And... you know, it's a great game. They got kind of the rights back from Nintendo, so they ported it to Switch and other platforms, I think, too. And they, as one of their stretch goals, promised a side campaign where you play as, I believe, Luca in a side-scrolling action shooter, and kind of like a Contra style thing. And it's going to be released in 2 parts, the first of which dropped today, and part 2, I believe, drops next week. And it's a free expansion if you have the Wonderful 101 remastered. So
that's rad.
Yeah,
that's rad.
Jury's out on how good it is. I haven't played it yet, obviously, but look, it's a neat idea, you know, and I'm glad that they did it. I'm glad that they had this like weird, dumb little, you know, expansion to toss in there. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, if any of you out there have Wonderful 101 on Nintendo Switch, make sure to let us know if you have any time, if you're able to tear yourself away from Hyrule for any length of time and you're able to check it out. Let us know what that is like. Let us know what you're playing this weekend. And again, like we said at the top of the show, let us know what you'd like to see from this new revamped all-in news hour that we're doing Friday nights as its own show. Throw those ideas at us at Twitter and on Facebook at All In Podcast. Again, join our phenomenal Discord community. Thank you again to our patrons for helping us go down this new path that we're on, and we're very much looking forward to continuing to make All In better for you guys in every way, shape, and form that we can. We will continue to make more and better content for you each and every week. Huge thank you to all of you. Also, make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to us here on youtube.com/allinpodcast. Hit the bell, the subscribe button, all that good stuff. We produce so much content for you guys, and even exclusive content for those amazing patrons of ours.
We do. Patreon.com/allinpodcast is the place to be. A lot of amazing friends and supporters there supporting us already. Join their ranks. See which of the 3 tiers works for you. We make 2 exclusive podcasts there every single week. We have discounts on our merch available, bit.ly/allinmerch, and get yourself a shirt, a mug, or a sticker, and throw a couple of bones our way to support us. We super appreciate it. And hey, if you're listening to this, if you're watching on YouTube, the likes and the subscribes are of course always very appreciated, but if you're listening on the podcast feed, definitely check out the main show, which these go out on Fridays. The main show goes out on Saturdays. All In, a Nintendo podcast. This week on the show, we're doing a WarioWare special, a blowout on WarioWare. We're doing the top 5 games within games kind of like you see in WarioWare. We're doing an indie showcase on the Mom Hid My Game series, and we're doing a retrospective discussion on the first WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games. So definitely tune into that. You can also leave us reviews while you're at it. 5-star reviews are super appreciated. Drop some words on Apple Podcasts, on Podchaser, and on Audible, or leave us 5-star ratings on Spotify. We greatly appreciate that, y'all.
We do, absolutely. You should check out the main show tomorrow just to hear the review that got left for us, frankly.
Yes.
But yeah, for all of you amazing patrons out there, for all of you who have dropped words, reviewed us on whatever podcasting service you follow us on, for anybody who has shared our content somewhere, somehow around the internet, guys, we just want to say a huge, huge thank you. And of course, namaste.
Namaste, everybody. That's been the weekly Nintendo News Roundup Live. Thank you so much to everybody who came out. We had a lively chat tonight. We had Bowza, we had Anna Hudok, Danielina Hosa was in here, Tamago Supremacy. Tamago, of course, is Japanese for egg, Eric, so egg supremacy. Locklith was here,
Sure.
Phelan was here, Sam was here. So shout outs to everybody who came out and watched us live. Again, links are in the video description or in the show notes if you're listening to us on the podcast feed. New episode of All In goes up tomorrow. But until then, guys, we'll see you then. Bye-bye.
Happy weekend, guys.